This is Ross Fleming speaking. This record is prepared in loving memory of Grandma Wallace from a tape recording made at her home on Mill Street during 1956, with Miss Belt present. And now it is July the 7th, 1959, and we have just taken Grandma to her last rest. But here on this record is the voice of Grandma and her chuckles.
Why, do you object to recording your voice? Well, I tell you what, Bert and I were in the same class under Mr. Lennox, and we used to see who could sing the loudest, sing alto the loudest.
Yeah.
We used to try to drown one another out. And there was a little of competition there. So I know that he can sing. I knew that he could sing all right.
Well,
But I never heard them singing duets or anything like that.
well, that was in Brandon.
Oh, in Brandon, oh, I see.
Brandon, for the little fellas.
Oh, yes.
And they would sing, they used to sing Billy together.
Mhm.
And when I came here, then there was Frank. He was a singer then. And he got to an age that he didn't want to sing anymore because the other boys, nobody sang anymore. So I said, "You're going, I'll teach you this one. Come on, I'll teach you this one. And I won't ask you to sing anymore.
Mhm.
Sing this." So on top of the places of the apple blossoms. And I taught him this, he sang this piece down at the school.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, "No, I'll never sing again. That's my last solo."
That's always the way.
So he never wants to get her
Is that so?
anymore. Yes. But the other ones did sing.
There's hardly any of my boys that continue their music. They all learned to play the violin or the cello. We had
Oh,
4
they're
cello
all-
players.
Yes.
But there's Arthur and Robert are about the only ones that do anything with it at all. But Arthur practices whenever he can get near a piano. Of course, he's a mining engineer and he's out in the country a lot. But Robert is too busy with his school, to
Oh, yeah.
do very much playing. But they're the only ones. Some of the others said, well, if they ever, some of them were doing pretty well too. But when they got out of their mother's clutches, why, they said they wouldn't touch it again. But it'll come back to them. When it comes to the time when they want to teach their children how to to play or sing, it'll be a different story.
I know. I remember when your boys were small, you said you're going to have enough you wanted to have enough boys to have a quartet.
Yes.
You got your quartet all right enough.
Yes.
But did they ever sing?
No, they never sang at all. Well, Gordon is the only one that ever did any singing, and he did it mostly around scout camp when he was scouting, you see.
I see.
They'd have an evening sing-song up at the scout camp, and he would, quite often he has sung a little song,
Well, I think that it's nice to have the kiddies sing.
Oh, yes.
I'd like to think that it's up to the parents to see that all the children are interested in music.
That's better than what you were telling me about them learning how to play blackjack, isn't it?
Yes, play blackjack. Yes, I think that
Well,
they got accustomed to it.
that is practically the same thing as we had to contend with. There was a neighbor just about a block away from us. Their father was a saloon keeper, and of course cards were an everyday occurrence with them. That didn't mean a thing to them. They would get up in the old barn upstairs, and they had their dice and their cards, and I don't know what went on up there, but they surely had their games up there. So it was the neighbors that come in that it doesn't make much difference about our training, but it was what the neighbors taught them.
Well, as I say, yes, it's hard to know what to do. You could do your best for you. As long as you do your best for your family, well, your conscience is clear.
Yes.
You have. But it's too bad that a lady was telling me the other day, she said, you could do for your children or spend your life, and then somebody else comes along and they spoil it.
Yes. That's quite true.
They always seem to take more interest in what a stranger, the stranger has the more influence over.
Yes, they pay more attention to a stranger.
More to a stranger. And I think a stranger can do a lot.
They
To
can
some.
They can do a lot of good and they can do a lot of harm.
They sure can.
It made us smile, when the kids were going to school. The wife, being an old school teacher, why, she had her methods of teaching, and mostly by statements, you see. So she would try to, she would look over the work of the kids, and try and find out how they reason things out, and she'd tell them how to make their statements and reason it out. Oh no, that isn't the way to do it. That's not the way a teacher does, and that's not the way teacher told us. And in preference to learning from their mother, why
The teacher.
it was the teacher that is the whole thing. Maybe that's a good thing too, but at the same time, it just shows that they will take somebody else's word quicker than their parents.
They see too much of the mother, I think, sometimes.
Well, that's it.
Well, that is the way. Oh, the father comes in. He's
He's
just the one.
Yes, and the mother does all the work.
They see too much of mother.
Yes.
And but when it comes to doing anything, why mother has to do it.
That's right.
But anyway, that's part of their life.
In that book that I brought up,
Yes, over there.
oh yes, I mentioned about Bert and Eddie being in the school. We're in the same the same class in school.
Well, I know that what surprises me, why these boys all get nicknamed.
Yes.
Every boy they had, I know the boys, Bert, they had a chum, they called him Shorty. They called her Shorty.
Oh, that's so.
I don't know what his real name was. And Clayton Wally, he got Bill Wally.
Oh, yes.
And,
Shorty, let's see, was that Stewart?
Shorty Stewart.
Stumpy Stewart.
Stumpy Stewart.
Stumpy Stewart. That is
Stumpy Stewart.
Yeah.
And what was the...
I never heard what any of your boys called nicknames. Did you?
Yes, Frank was called Percy. Percival Brush.
Oh, that's a Percival Brush.
Percival Brush.
That's all.
And he was called Percy. And I said, why do you call you Percy? Well, somebody told me he did something in school one day and the teacher corrected him about it. He brushed.
Oh, yeah.
And that was where he got his brush.
Oh, that's all.
Percy, he called it Percy.
Well, they take the
whenever
brush?
I hear anybody been called Percy,
Oh, yes.
I remember the
Percy Brush.
I remember Percival Brush.
Percival Brush.
Percival Brush.
Well, what was Bert? Did they all ever call Bert anything?
I just forget.
I don't remember.
know.
I've never heard
Did
that
you
personal
ever
either.
heard? And did you ever hear anything what is it?
No,
called?
I can't remember of either Bert or Eddie being called any nickname.
Stumpy Stern.
Yes.
Stumpy Stern was a bosom friend of those boys.
Yes,
There's not an inch on that lake that those boys haven't covered.
yes.
Go for holiday, up the lake.
Stumpy Stewart is mentioned in that article too.
Where is Stumpy around here?
But he was, I have an idea that he has died. He was an official, an inspector for the BC government.
Was he?
Oh yes, he was. He'd gone up the ladder pretty well.
Ross, he had a relative in Sargosi, that big tall Bob
Bell.
Bell.
Oh yeah. Yes, there was a
He
connection
died
there.
too.
Oh yes, he died there.
They were relatives, I think. They were cousins.
Oh, they were, eh?
I think they were.
Well,
But I met Bob Bell a lot, but Stumpy had been around here several times.
oh yes.
Stumpy's been around here several
I'll
times.
get
Not
that
sure
book.
it's pretty hard here to sit in.
I'll get that book.
Oh, the book.
See some of the.
Oh, I'm awfully glad I got the book to Ross.
Yes, I'm glad you have one too, because they're getting scarce, and well, they went to a lot of trouble in getting out this book, and
Well, this Mr. Harbison, he's an awful
Harbison.
nice young man,
Oh yes, Harbison.
and he explained a lot, and they were telling me their troubles, and getting the book and one thing and another. So I said to him, is this book for sale? You're selling this book? Oh yes, he said, this is a sample book.
Oh, yeah.
And what he showed me. And but he said it sound. He told me it took $4 to compose the book, get the
yes.
book together.
Uh-huh.
And they were lacking funds, and they didn't know how many books to get out, and one thing and another. So I gave him, I bought the book and paid him for it.
Mm-hmm.
He said he'd returned it, and I gave him the amount of money. And I said, this will help you out a way a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I waited after Christmas time, and then I phoned the house,
Mm-hmm.
and there was always some children answered the phone.
Oh, yes.
They wanted to deliver, if they wanted them to deliver a message. And I said, yes, I'd like to see your father. Well, he's not home now.
Oh yes. Well, I saw him down at the. I phoned him too, and he wasn't home one evening, and left a message for him, but he didn't call back. But I saw him down at the the concert at the the concert the other night, and he says, "Oh, I remember now. You left a message for me to call you up. I haven't done so." I said, yes. I said I wanted to see if you had any more of those books left, because Mrs. Wallace is very anxious to get one, and she had paid for it, or given you $10, and she would like to have one of the books. And she says, well, I sent her a book the week after it was published. I sent it by Jill. Oh, I says, must have been something happened to it. Maybe it's lying around the McDonald house, but she hasn't got it. And I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll take up one of mine to her, and then you can replace mine. Give me a book to replace it.
So I got your book.
Oh, that doesn't
I
mean
don't know, I'll take your book.
there's no name on it, and I'll get one from him. You see. So,
Well, I hope you get one.
oh yes. As a matter of fact, I have two more anyway. I have one for myself, and I thought the girls would be the ones most interested
Oh
in
yes,
it.
how are the girls getting on?
Oh, say, we have a girl over in Paris. What do you know about that?
In Paris.
In Paris. She'll be working there a year for the Curie Cancer Foundation. And she went over there just to get the experience and to learn the French language and so have a holiday.
Slave. Which is that?
That's Gladys,
Gladys.
the youngest one.
Why? Well, that's
Younger.
lovely to hear that, isn't it?
Yes, it's a fine experience for her.
But where's the other one? Is she,
Well, she's still in Montreal. She's one of the supervisors. She has charge of one of the floors there in the Royal Victoria Hospital.
well, they're happy. They got to work that they like.
Oh yes, they like
enjoying it?
nursing. They like nursing.
Oh.
Gladys is going to go over to as soon as she spent her year in Paris, she's going over to Spain and be there for 6 months or more.
Well, that's wonderful.
And then she thinks she'll go into the RCAF. One of her friends is over there, and she's working. She had to wait a little longer than Gladys to get a job, but she finally got a job with the RCAF, and she's getting over twice as much money as Gladys is. But this is what Gladys went over for, and she's quite satisfied.
It makes. She's getting her
It's quite a nice experience.
experiences. Why,
Yes.
it's wonderful.
Oh, it's a nice experience.
It's wonderful for the girls. I think it's. I see Molly Anderson's over there now too.
Yes, yes, yes. Molly Arneson is over there somewhere. Well, she's in England, isn't she?
Big pardon?
Is she in England or is she in France?
Well, I don't know where she is now.
I think she's in England.
I think she was coming back. She's in France, I think, or was it? She's in another country anyway, but she's coming back to England. Her mother told me at Christmas time they expected her home for Christmas.
Oh, yes.
And then the other day I was inquiring for her. She said, oh, she's not coming home. She's coming home in August.
Oh, I see. I suppose they don't like to leave there, you know.
Or when they get over there. I think is
Gladys enjoyed being in England too. She worked near Southampton, and
does she like it over there?
oh, she likes it over there. Only she had her mind on France, you see,
Sure.
and that's where she wanted to go. Of course, she had learned French, a certain amount of French language from at her work, you see, in Montreal.
Good for
But
her. She'd have to keep that.
she wanted to learn it a little better. What stumps her, though, is the terms that they use. You know, what they call things. And it's not the language exactly, but it's the terms that they use
Before.
to describe certain things, you see. So that's...
It's all due to her. And it'll be wonderful, wonderful experience for
oh,
her.
she'll never forget that.
No.
It'll be a wonderful experience.
No. Molly was over. She just tripping around.
Oh, yes, I see.
She's been in France. I think she's been.
Yes, I think she's been around the continent.
She's been around for.
Well, Gladys will likely go all around the place before she's through, but her idea was to spend some time in Paris, particularly, or in France.
Well, when they're there, they might as well. They might as well. I said, don't get. Naturally, they want to come. I suppose she's forgotten all about home. Nelson.
Oh, no, they think there's no place like home. Of course, they think there's no place like the Montreal Hospital, too.
Well, naturally, they've been there for so long.
And she continues, or at least she compares what they have over there. You know, over there, the nurses are quite sloppy in their appearance. You'd think that they'd be fine, you know, but their uniforms are not starched, and they're really sloppy. Whereas she's just as neat as she can possibly be about her appearance.
Well,
And that's surprising to me, because you'd think that a French person would be very neat.
well, we all thought so.
Yes, that's a great surprise to me.
I should think it would be.
But I guess it's just the actresses that are so neat, the ones, you know, well up in the profession.
very likely. How about the doctors?
Well, the doctors, she hasn't made any remark about the doctors. I think that they're okay. There's quite a few of those that have been over to Canada and different, because some of the doctors here gave her letters of introduction to some of the doctors over there, and that's helped her a great deal.
Well, that's helped her.
Yes.
I know that's what they do. They get help along the way.
Yes.
You know, Frank got on help that way when he was in Montreal.
Yes.
He was over in the States.
Mhm.
He was all down through Florida and all down there. And it helped him an awful lot. The
Yes.
doctors did. There's a lot of doctors, New Birth, met him over at
overseas, too.
Overseas, you see.
Yes.
In that way,
Yeah, they
one leads to the other.
Oh, yes. Yes, he would made quite a number over there.
He met quite a lot of them. And in that way, these doctors, then they helped Frank. I got to stop and think which one was. I got.
Oh, yes.
But it was Frank. They helped him. Helped him an awful lot.
Yes.
And one time, he went to one doctor for a recommend, and the doctor gave him a recommend, and he says, if that doesn't blow the bird off the branch, he says, I don't know what will.
That's all. Blow the bird off the branches. So.
Off the branch? The bird was on the branch.
Oh, yeah, I see. Must have been pretty strong stuff, eh?
Strong enough. So anyway, that helped him a lot.
Mhm.
And things like that.
Yes.
But he had a good, wonderful chance down there.
Yeah. That is in California when he went down.
No, that's down Montreal.
Oh, Montreal.
Down,
Oh, yes.
Not in Montreal. He went to Montreal, but when they went, he was down New York.
New York. Oh, yes.
He's down the Grassland Hospital.
Oh, yes.
He was all in down there.
Mhm.
And
Was that when he was training?
that was when he was. No, he
when he was
graduated.
sick?
After he had graduated.
Oh, I see. Mhm.
After he graduated from Montreal,
Oh, yes.
and then these doctors that's in Montreal, some of them that do work overseas,
Oh, yes.
they gave her some wonderful recommends,
Oh, yes.
and he wanted to go over to the States to see what they're doing anyways.
Mhm.
So he got into the Grassland Hospital.
Well, that is Bert you're speaking about.
That's Frank.
Oh, Frank. Oh, yes, I
That's
see.
Frank I'm
Mhm.
speaking
yes.
about.
Oh,
Bert,
yes.
he was overseas, and he came back and went to work.
Oh, yes.
He came back, and straight to say, Dr. Borden wanted him. And we didn't know very much about Borden, and so then Bert was still on the army. He still worked for the army to Calgary and Vancouver.
Oh, yes.
And he took a trip in here
Mhm.
to see us, but he had to go back again.
Oh, yes.
And straight to say,
Now, it wasn't for that old flu, he'd likely be here yet. That flu had just worked them night and day, and
oh, but anyway, but coming from the front, the condition was, you know, he was blown up.
well, he was blown up. Eh?
He was blown up, but there was so many of them blown up, and didn't think it was worthwhile trying to find them.
Oh,
But
yeah.
this one fellow said, let's go out and see if we can find them again. They
Mhm.
found him there, they found him.
That's right.
And then he had a shot. He was a little bit lame almost. He
Oh,
had
yeah.
a shot in the back of his heel.
Well,
Unfortunately, the tape ran out at this point, and the recording came to an end. Well, goodbye, Grandma. You will always be remembered.